everyone, I'm Pion and welcome to Pion's Perspective. Today we're going to talk about how STICLI Games is trying to take down a video of Jim Sterling and their potential intentions behind that. So yeah, again, another developer is trying to take down a YouTube video. I hope you're not tired of that topic yet, because I think it's still very important to talk about. So over a week ago, Jim Sterling uploaded a video to YouTube, the exact video you can see in the background right now, about a game called Airport Master by STICLI Games. A week or so later, STICLI Games sent a takedown notice to YouTube stating that the video is infringing on their trademark. Not their copyright, they say it's infringing on their trademark. So YouTube responded to that by not taking the video down instantly and instead telling them to resolve this on their own in 48 hours. So talk to each other, Jim Sterling and STICLI Games talk to each other and resolve this issue in 48 hours. There was a little back and forth between Jim Sterling and STICLI Games, and those 48 hours are very well over at this point. I think more than a day now. And so far the video is still up, and it's not quite clear what is going on right now. Maybe we're waiting on YouTube to act, maybe we're waiting on STICLI Games to act. It's not quite clear. I don't think Jim Sterling knows either. Anyway, so far the video is still up. Let's take a little closer look to the takedown notice. Because the exact reasoning they state is that the video is infringing on their trademark because it's violating their EULA. And the EULA states, I quote, "Any use of copyright holders' trademarks, imagery, content, videos, graphical elements, names, plot in any activity, including but not limited to, producing 3D party video content," I think that's a typo and is supposed to mean third-party video content, "electronic and on-paper publishing, creation of promotional content, etc. is only possible with prior written permission of copyright holder." So in short, the EULA says that you're only allowed to use their copyrighted material with their written permission. So when we're talking about EULAs, it's important to note that while a EULA is a binding contract, it's not above the law. So if a part of a EULA is conflicting with the law, then that part of the EULA is just void. It doesn't matter because the law is more important. I don't think that this part of the EULA is actually conflicting with the law, but it's at least completely ignoring the fair use angle. So yeah, I'm not allowed to just take your game and or your copyrighted material and make a video about that. Except when I'm acting under fair use, for example, because I'm reviewing your product. In that case, I'm allowed to do so because of fair use. And so this EULA might not be actually conflicting with the law, but it's at least very, very sketchy. Which brings us to the first question about motive or intentions. Why did they put this part in the EULA in the first place? Why do they have it there? What did they think by putting in there? What was their goal to do so? And if you just assume the worst, which a lot of people do, then the reasoning you could come up with is that they wanted to silence criticism. They want to control the message. If every YouTuber who wants to make a video about their game has to first ask for written permission before making a video, they can control who makes videos and therefore control the message and maybe filter out the YouTubers they assume would make negative criticism or whatever they just don't like maybe, and only give permission to the ones they assume would like the game, for example. So that would be obviously a very shitty thing to do. I don't like to assume the worst about people though. And therefore I thought about other reasons they could have, like legit reasons, or at least good good intentions they could have to have this in their EULA in the first place. And what I came up with is that they maybe thought about inappropriate videos. So let's say maybe they imagined a video where someone is playing their game and the whole video is full of racist jokes, and they don't like racist jokes, and I can't blame them for that. I don't like them either, and maybe they don't want it to be connected to something like that, so that's just not how they imagine their game to be presented, and I could understand that. Like, I would like to see that either. If I make a game and someone is taking the game and is making racist jokes all over the place, I would not be very happy about that either. So maybe they were thinking about a situation like that and thought, how can we prevent that from happening? Well, if everyone is asking, everyone has to ask us for permission before making a video, we can check them out and see if they're likely to make a shitty video like that, and if we think that's likely, we just don't give them permission, and therefore we can stop situations like that from happening. And while this still doesn't excuse the issue here with this sketchy, which is the sketchy part being in the EULA in the first place. Like, that's still a shitty thing to be there. That's really sketchy and really irritating. it would at least give them reasonable intentions or good intentions to do so. And I think that's important, because I think if you are an asshole, then you're not an asshole for your actions, but you're an asshole for your reasons. That doesn't make your actions better. Like, if you're acting shitty, then you're acting shitty, no doubt about that. But if you at least have good intentions for that, then you may be uninformed, you might be ignorant, you might be an idiot, but you're not an asshole. And I like to think that a lot of people are actually having reasons for what they do. They don't act shitty knowingly, they just do so without realizing that they act shitty, because they're, well, yeah, uninformed, ignorant, whatever. And they just don't know better. So it's possible that they're just assholes and try to silence criticism, but it's also possible that they're just, well, don't know better. And I think that's important to think about. So let's talk about the most interesting part of the whole situation, which is that they actually claimed that the video is infringing on their trademark and not on their copyright, which makes no sense whatsoever. So if you don't know the difference between copyright and trademark, let me summarize really quickly. Copyright is there to protect the creator. So in this case, a game developer. Let's say you create a video game, and I take your video game and resell it under a different name. Then I'm infringing on your copyright, because I just stole your game. And copyright law is there to prevent that stuff from happening. It's there to protect the creator of a product or of a creative work, or whatever. Trademark, on the other hand, is there to protect the consumer from getting tricked into buying the wrong product. So let's say, again, you made a video game and it got pretty popular. A lot of people like it. And now I make a video game as well, a different one, not the same one, a different video game. But in order to benefit from your success, I name my video game very similar to yours, and I use similar PR material or a similar logo and stuff like that. In order to trick people into buying my game while they think they're buying your game, or maybe like a successor to your game or something along those lines. That would be a trademark violation. And from judging by that example, or if you look at that example, it becomes pretty clear that Jim Stalling's video is not infringing on any trademark whatsoever. He's not trying to sell anything. He's not trying to he's not pretending to be the creator of the game. He's not pretending that this video is like official PR material or a trailer for the game or anything along those lines. Like this whole situation has nothing to do with trademark whatsoever. And that brings us to the question, why did they use trademark as a reason instead of copyright? And again, you could assume for the worst and say, well, they did it because they looked at different or at other situations where people tried to take down videos with copyright strikes, and they realized it didn't go so well in most situations, and they thought maybe it works better with trademark. And they at least got a different result so far, because YouTube did act differently on it. They did not just take the video down, which is potentially a worse result, but at least it's a different result, and we don't have a final resolution yet. We don't know how this will end exactly. And maybe it ends in their favor. Who knows? I don't know. I definitely hope so not. I definitely don't hope so, but it might. Who knows? So this might be a reason. Maybe they realized copyright strikes don't go well. Maybe a trademark claim will work better, or a trademark takedown. Again, I like to present a different reason that might be their reason, and that is maybe they just did it on accident. Maybe they don't know better. Maybe they just don't realize what the exact difference between copyright and trademark is. And I think the wording in the EULA is actually kind of hinting at that. I quote again parts of it. Any use of copyright holders' trademarks and is only possible with prior written permission of copyright holders. So they're saying that you're not allowed to use their trademark without their permission. And Jim Sterling clearly used their trademark in his video. Like the title of the video includes the title of the game, Airport Master. You see the Airport Master logo in the menu screen and stuff like that. So he definitely includes the trademark in his video. He's allowed to do so, by the way, but he does do that. And therefore, maybe they thought that this is violating the EULA and therefore is a trademark issue because he's using their trademark. Which it still is not, but maybe that's just what they thought. They don't really understand the whole legal situation and just use the wrong term, basically. And I think in this situation that's actually quite likely, because a lot of people don't understand this stuff. Like I didn't knew the difference like a few months ago either. I just learned about this by, I think, video by Trademark, if I remember correctly, who explained it pretty well. And so this is quite common to not know. So I think that's a real possibility that they just didn't know and just mixed up the terms and confused the whole situation. So let's talk about the most important question though. Why did they take down the video in the first place? Like, why did they take it down in the end? Or try to take it down? They didn't take it down, yeah, but they attempt to. Again, you could say they're trying to silence criticism. If they have this part of the EULA in there to control the message, then that's just executing it. They try to silence criticism. So Jim Sterling's coverage of the game was very negative, and therefore they might want to remove that. And so yeah, if maybe they're just assholes and try to get rid of that. Maybe, however, the EULA was written with good intentions, as I explained earlier, and in order to stop bad videos, or what they think are bad videos, from happening. In order to do so, they obviously have make people abide the EULA and ask for permission before making video, because if they don't, that's just not working, right? And to make people abide the EULA, you have to enforce it. So if someone is uploading video without your permission, you have to try to fight that, because if you don't, then people will just continue ignoring your EULA and the whole thing gets pointless at that point. So maybe, not saying that's exactly what happens, but it might be a possible reason for them to take the video down. They had the intention of preventing bad videos, and therefore they wrote their EULA as they did, and in order to enforce the EULA, they decided, hey, Jim Sterling did not have permission from us, take it down. And they even said, by the way, in the communication with Jim Sterling, they said, it's okay if you take down the video, ask for permission, and then re-upload it. We're okay with the video. We give you permission, but you have to follow our EULA, basically, is what they're saying. And therefore, that might be the reason for taking down the video intentionally, in the first place. And now there are two possibilities. Either they just don't realize in what mess they are, like what mess they created. They don't realize that this whole thing is pretty shitty, because they're basically trying to silence criticism, knowingly or not, and that people are not very happy about it, and that's not how Trademark works, and that's not how copyright works either, because of fair use and stuff like that, or at least it's not that simple if it's a copyright issue because of fair use. So either they just don't realize, or maybe they realized but they now refuse to back down, because they just don't want to, like they're stubborn, and they have this will to not, or this impulse to not back down. This might even be unconsciously, like maybe they unconsciously they're like, oh, no, I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to excuse and say, oh, sorry, I did the mistake. I don't want to be wrong. And so they tell themselves they're acting rightfully by I'm just following my EULA. This is how it's written in my EULA. I'm just trying to enforce my EULA, and I'm doing nothing wrong. Maybe they're just telling them that to themselves to justify what they're doing, and don't even realize that they do it. Well, they realize it's wrong, but unconsciously they just don't want to back down, and that might be a thing. I don't know. I don't know those people. I can't look in their hands, but that's just reasons I came up with. I have another one, actually. Another possibility I see that could be the reason for this whole thing going down is that they're actually really, really big assholes. And they did this to create attention, or to garner attention. Because the game is doesn't look like a good game, but it's definitely not super fucking terrible. It's a game. There's effort in there. There's actually gameplay in there. There are things to do. And it's a pretty niche genre, and therefore people might be interested in this game. And maybe they just created this whole situation to create a big mess and get a lot of attention and get people look at their game and maybe get a few more sales. There's one thing that actually supports this theory, and that's their language in the whole situation, in the whole process, because they were pretty polite. While their actions are sketchy and shitty, their language is very polite. They didn't insult anyone. They didn't start a flame war or nothing. At least not connected to the situation. There's this one tweet where they say that someone should be shot on sight, but that's completely unconnected to this situation. So at least in the context of this situation, they were completely polite, at least as far as I'm aware, and did not insult anyone. And so maybe their plan is to come down at some point and say, oh, sorry, we didn't know better, We have no idea about copyright and trademark. We didn't knew this EULA is a shitty thing to do. We didn't want it to silence criticism. We're very, very sorry. Now we're gonna allow everything. And please, if you're interested, maybe buy our game. So that might be their shitty plan. And if that's the case, I hope it doesn't work out that way. But they definitely got attention, so that's definitely a possibility. If that was their intention in the first place, it worked. They got attention, and I think some people might have bought it because of that. Because that, as I said, the game is very niche, and that usually means that people have like lower quality standards because they're like looking for games in their niche they like, and there are not too many games in that niche in the first place because it's a niche, right? So maybe people will buy it, even though it doesn't look too great. Especially if they at some point like come down and say, "Oh, we're sorry," and people think, "Oh, okay, maybe it was just an honest mistake. Let's not be assholes about it and buy the game because I actually am interested in it." And that would mean it worked out. I hope that's not what's happening, but who knows? So yeah. To summarize, in the best case, like the best case scenario I could come up with is they don't know jack shit about copyright and trademark, but trying to use it anyway to protect their game or whatever, which makes them uninformed and ignorant and stubborn. But not necessarily assholes, but who knows. So that's the best case. So in the best case, they're uninformed, ignorant, and stubborn. Okay, so the worst case is obviously they're abusing a flawed system to either silence criticism or garner attention, or maybe both, which makes them big shitheads. That just makes them assholes. So that's definitely quite a possibility. What is true? Maybe something in between? Who knows? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. Well, we'll not find out for sure, but maybe we get more hints depending on how the situation plays out. Either way, it's a pretty shitty situation, and it's only possible because, again, YouTube doesn't give a damn shit about its creators. I don't know why, but YouTube is just not protecting their creators whatsoever. Which is pretty sad if you think about it, because without its creators, YouTube would be, well, non-existent, really. So I think it would be in their interest even to protect their creators to some degree. But apparently they don't care too much. Or they just realized, like, it's too much work. And, well, yeah, I don't know. It's pretty sad. Anyway, the only thing we can do about it is spread the word. So this is my part done. I spread the word with this video. I hope this story gets around quite a bit. Well, in the case that they just want attention, this is quite the opposite of good. But we still have to spread the word, right? We still cannot have this thing happening. And usually, and that's the thing TB says quite a lot, and actually kind of backed up with data as well, not all attention is good attention, right? Just because your game gets covered a lot for being shitty or for acting shitty doesn't get you necessarily a lot of sales. But who knows? Maybe it makes some sales anyway. But yeah, I think it's important to spread the word. So here we go. That's my part in it. So yeah, I'm TH Pine. Thanks a lot for watching. Have fun and hope this doesn't happen too much more in the future. And see you next time.